Steve Post from the Motor Racing Network here at Racing Electronics at the PRI show. Having a great time, and I'm so jacked up about this because I get to talk about my beloved big block modifieds. Grew up in the Northeast, of course, live in Charlotte now, but love when we get a chance to talk about it. Jack Lehner, one of the dirt modified racers from up in New York, joins us. Hey, Jack, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm fantastic, I really am. So the big block modifieds, I'm from the Binghamton area originally, wrote for Gator Racing News, which was an old racing paper that's no longer around, and used to cover all of those tracks up there, and absolutely love it, and love that you get a chance to do this. What's it like to run those big blocks around the state of New York and the Northeast?
It's pretty awesome, you know. I mean, it's cool that in our little area, that's like the premier race car for dirt racing. So, you know, we have a really good fan base. We get really good crowds and good turnouts at really all the events that we do. So that's really cool to see. And, you know, luckily running the tour, it's not too much traveling. You know, usually the furthest races away are 5-6 hours, other than like when we go to Volusia and Charlotte and things like that. So, you know, that makes it a little bit easier on us. You know, home base is, we get to go home a lot. So, but yeah, it's awesome. You know, we ran over 60 races this year, and you know, loving every minute of it.
Yeah, over 60 races. You had your best finish as far as SuperDIRTCar Series points, best point finish. You finished 10th last year, 7th this year. So how do you feel about the progress you're making running against those, those tour veterans? They're so good up there, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I feel really good. You know, every year it seems like we take even a bigger step than the year before in the right direction, and a lot of that's just, you know, we work really hard at it and try to do everything we can to be better in the shop with our equipment and you know, on the road and how we handle things. Like you said, racing with those guys, they got a lot of years, a lot of experience. They've been to those tracks a lot of times, have a lot of notes, you know, and I think a lot of times that's maybe where we get beat. Just, you know, they can really know what they need to have every time they show up to every track. So there's certain tracks that we go to that we know what we need to have, and then we run really good there, you know, get some podiums or top fives. So, you know, hopefully just keep building that notebook and working on that. And biggest thing, try to learn from those guys and, you know, maybe what they're doing that we're not doing. But, you know, really pleased with our progression. Everything we've done in the shop, you know, we've getting a shock dyno, doing all our own shocks, and learning about, you know, every corner of the car, everything we can do to try to better ourselves. So, you know, hopefully we can just keep that ball rolling.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the shock dynos, the shock business, because you, in an effort to go to school, you've decided and you've invested in your own shock business. How important is that to have all of the details and all of that knowledge? Do your competitors do the same thing? How important is that to try to set yourself apart?
Well, I guess who I try to model after, who I look up to a lot, is Matt Shepard. Obviously, he wins the majority of the stuff that we're doing. So, you know, obviously I'm looking at that guy and, you know, what's he doing and how is he so good? And, you know, one of the things, and it's not just shocks, engines, everything else, but, you know, he has his guy, they do their shocks, they have a dyno in their shop, and, you know, that way you can really, once you understand or really try to learn how that stuff works, instead of going to your shock guy and saying, hey, I need the car to do this or I need that, and, you know, hoping that he can interpret what you're looking for and make the right calls. If you know yourself how things are working and the changes you might need to make, I feel like that's going to better you on the track. And then, you know, having all the equipment there in my shop, I figured, well, I might as well, you know, help the guys that are local to me and, you know, make it worth having that equipment and help pay the bills to go racing. So, you know, it kind of all works out. It bettered my own program, and it helps us get to the track and travel all around.
That is really, really cool. Your background in the sport, now, am I right? Your dad raced street stocks at, what was it, Lebanon Valley or Fonda? Where was it? Lebanon Valley. Lebanon Valley. So this is kind of a family passion that you've had all along as you've climbed your way into the modified world? Yeah,
absolutely. It's funny. He's got some funny stories racing street stocks. He was 19, I think, when he started. Yeah, he would, one time they stole the battery out of his truck because they park outside, so he had to take the battery out of his race car, put it in. Just stories like that is funny, but he's always been really passionate about racing, and I don't know where that came from because his parents weren't, but it just never worked out for him to really dive into it. You know, started a family, our family and everything, so he didn't really get to go racing full time. Now he races for a hobby, but so yeah, when I was growing up, you know, he stuck me in a go-kart when I was 4 years old, and I remember he got the go-kart for us, and I would run it all around the house, sun up to sundown, and he was like, all right, we got to try racing. So we went to the races, and I think it was like my third or fourth race we won, and I was hooked. So that was growing up. We would go to the go-kart tracks on the weekends, and it's just kind of snowballed into where we're at now.
Man, that is so cool. That's for sure. What would you say when you look at the 2024 season? Do you have a firm plan in place? What are the plans that you do have in place, and kind of some of the goals and objectives as you look to next year?
Yeah, so as far as what's set in stone for sure, we're going to run the SuperDIRTCar series again, and we'll be at Albany, Saratoga on Friday nights, and we'll be at Fonda Speedway on Saturday nights in the Eric Nelson Racing-owned number 85. And then we got some other things in the works. We're going to try to do a little bit more of the short track Super Series stuff, maybe try to do more like that North region. They just came out with the schedule, and it looks really good. So basically try to race as much as we can, but feeling really good. Equipment-wise, we're in really good shape. Actually on my way out here, I dropped an engine off to get freshened, and I feel like, everything's kind of really starting to come together the way I like it to, and, hopefully that's going to show next year, and we can come in with a full head of steam, and, I'd really like to, be competing for that top spot in the championship.
Man, that would be awesome, that's for sure. Finally for you, your nickname, the Ginger Ninja. Of course, you got the red hair. Who gave you that? Where'd you come up with that?
So this was probably 6 years ago. My buddy David Schilling, he races too, came up with it. I won my first sportsman race, I think it was, and there was like a article on Facebook or something, and I don't know where he came up with it, but he just commented the Ginger Ninja, and it like blew up. Like, hundreds of people were liking it, laughing at it or whatever. So then our announcer, Dan Martin, at our home track, Albany, Saratoga, he started saying it, and then he was also the announcer at Super Dirt Week that year, and I won the last chance qualifier my rookie year in a big block. And he was saying the Ginger Ninja, and then it just stuck from there on out. I mean, everyone. So we've tried to, kind of market that a little bit, put it on the T-shirts, and everyone seems to love it. So I'm cool with it.
I love it. That's fantastic, Jack. Pleasure to hang out. Thanks for joining us here at Racing Electronics.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
There we go. The Ginger Ninja. I love it. Jack Lehner joining us here. Anytime I can talk big block modifieds, I'm a happy camper here at the Racing Electronics display here at PRI.